The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner. Of course, the brand new album from Apocalypse Orchestra is The End Is Nigh, which is available now through Despotz Records. I've been able to digest this album since it came out, and I really love the style that you guys go for. I love being able to include that folk and medieval feel with doom metal, which you don't often hear much these days, where it's like sometimes you'll hear more poppy folk or something like that, but going into the doom metal aspect of it, I really appreciate it.
Wow, thank you very much for your kind words. It's much appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it took me away the second that I was able to check it out, and it's just I really love that style. And throughout the entire album, I mean, it just feels so cohesive together.
Well, it's been the sound is not a surprise. It's been our thought from the get-go to have this authentic feel in the regards of folk music, as well as march in a different direction than many other folk metal bands. Especially, I mean, don't get me wrong, I really love when you mix folk and death metal and black metal and more happy, up-tempo metal, if I could say so, but it's not what we wanted to do. We really wanted to move in another direction.
So, what was your approach when writing the new album?
Well, we felt that a lot of melodies, a lot of the really old melodies, as well as new melodies that we created ourselves in the same spirit, really popped out in a whole different manner when slowed down. And we experimented with changing the instruments, but a lot of times we always come back to the hurdy-gurdy, which has a really melancholy vibe to it. And the melodies themselves, they tell a whole new tale when accompanied by some down-tuned slow metal. It's really something else. A lot of the tunes were probably played a lot faster since they were played to dance, but nobody knows exactly how they were played, time signatures and tempo and stuff. It's not written down anywhere.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing when you're able to incorporate those different styles, how it can influence how an album's going to be. I mean, when you put a lot of focus like on the hurdy-gurdy and be able to focus on that melancholy, it's great to have more of that doom metal approach, which already has that melancholic tone to it, and combining those just make it for a very nice epic feel.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's really nice to hear you say it as well. We didn't really set out to be a doom metal band per se, but of course you can identify that we both like doom bands and listen to a lot of doom metal ourselves. No surprise there.
So, what has been the reception to the new album so far?
Breathtaking. Reading the reviews from the press has been out of this world. I could never ever have anticipated this. Of course, we were hoping to stir some buzz, given that we are a bit different in this genre, if you can use that word. But nothing like this. It's been amazing so far.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels this way, because it's a style that hasn't really been represented much in the past, so it's great being able to hear it now and just hear your guys' take on it. And I'm just imagining in the future being able to build up even more than where you guys have gone so far.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things we're aiming to do as well. Try out different instruments, working on different vocal arrangement, maybe including more chanting and harmony singing than just having lead vocals, just to have a different vibe now and then, not maybe necessarily repeat ourselves too much.
And speaking of that, how did you guys know when this was the right style to have Apocalypse Orchestra be?
Me and Michael have played in different bands for 10 to 15 years, and we've been friends for equally as long. And we both love this kind of folk music, but we never really played it other than just us two, jamming and playing like acoustic. And we've had also folk rock bands, more contemporary than traditional. But we decided just to combine the two extremes, go full metal, but in our own way, and just turning back the clock on the folk music as well. And Michael is a complete wizard when it comes to melodies. He invents them quickly and exceptionally, and often he inspires me with his melodies, and I take them and make some sort of arrangement or chord progression, and then we just cut and paste and go from there, actually.
And with that, I mean, you are able to contribute a lot to the band. I mean, you're not just focusing on one instrument. How do you go about knowing where to put what as far as the song goes?
Well, it can be a bit of a jigsaw to begin with. Sometimes we have a lyrical idea that comes first. Sometimes we have a couple of melodies, and we build on it, find the vibe, and then try to figure out which of our potential lyrical ideas will fit. But it's a lot of actual cut and paste. We work a lot on the computer just to move things around, try different arrangement, different instruments. Somewhere along the line, I guess you develop a feel for it, but you also have to consider the song as a whole. Is it time for a louder part, or should we turn the volume down here? Should we go faster, slower? I really don't know. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes we scrap songs altogether.
Well, was there any scrapping of material for this album?
Well, we put some songs in the freezer. Maybe a bunch of ideas have been buried, but we also have pre-existing ideas as well as new ones that are probably going to end up on a forthcoming album as well. So I think we will probably have some new ideas and put in some new sounds, but we probably won't revolutionize ourselves, if you know what I mean. You will probably hear that it's Apocalypse Orchestra on the next album as well.
So it'd be fair to say if you enjoy the newest album that you will enjoy the next album as well.
I really hope you could say that, yes.
Oh, awesome. Well, what's next for you guys?
Well, right now we are also in awe of the reception of our first single that we put out a video on. It's been through the roof, and we are absolutely dumbstruck. So naturally we have to do more videos, which is in the pipeline as of now. We're looking at a couple of gigs as well, maybe to do some mini touring during the fall. It would be awesome to visit Europe, and of course in the future the US, but I think that's sometime to come.
Oh, very cool. And going back a little bit to the first single that was released, The Garden of Earthly Delights, you know, it's just like I really love the style of the video that's going on there, and that's where I first heard of you guys, and being able to get to this point and being able to talk to you about promoting everything. I mean, it's such a cool thing to see. But how did you guys know which song to be able to put out as a video?
Well, we talked about that back and forth, but even though the song is almost 9 minutes long, we felt like that was our hit, for lack of a better word. And I think it represents quite a lot of bits of what is us, as well as using actual, authentic, seriously old medieval melodies, as well as newly composed, eclectic medieval melodies, medieval sounding melodies. Ironically, it features more of the bagpipe than the hurdy-gurdy, but I think that's still a presentation to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think it's a very great representation of the band and the album as a whole. Although, of course, throughout the album, there's a lot of great moments, like some killer double bass going through, a little bit more up-tempo moments on there as well. But the Garden of Earthly Delights just really shows off everything the band is capable of.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
So,
when we also set out to produce the video, we had a quite clear idea of what we wanted and also what we didn't want. Personally, I'm not most super comfortable with the performance style videos, but as a first video, I guess you have to incorporate those elements. We wanted to tell a tale on the side and leave a lot of interpretation for the viewer as well, and not try to be too obvious what's going on or even lyrically what the song is about. We're not trying to be overly mystical or mysterious, but still, it's interesting to read about what the audience make of it.
yeah, I know from my experience, it was great to be able to see the story still being told and seeing the instruments actually being played as well, being able to see who plays what and everything that goes into the song. So in that aspect, I really appreciate being able to see both sides.
Yeah, a lot of bands never do performance videos, and who knows, maybe you'll never see us playing anything again, but at the same time, I know people like to see different and weird instruments, and boy do we have those.
And speaking of that, is it a challenge to be able to get everything mic'd up when you're playing live with all the different instruments?
Both yes and no. Traditionally, a lot of these instruments can be a nightmare. The ones we use are very modern versions of them with the killer electronics and little or no problems when playing live.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, when we recorded the album, everything is acoustically mic'd up, though, so that was a challenge altogether. But still, we wanted. I mean, come on, we're a modern band, and looking at ancient times, sounds, and melodies. We're not an ancient band looking at modern times and melodies and sound. So even the folk music instruments and the medieval vibe has got to have a modern touch to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't fit. At least I don't think it would. So we tried to be as thorough as we could when miking everything up, just to capture every element of even the old-sounding instruments. And I think that's the key to getting the mix to work. Also, we have had a terrific help with Per Nilsson of Symmetry mixing the album, and he did an amazing job, better than I ever could have imagined.
Yeah, and, you know, being a huge Symmetry fan and what he's done with the band, I mean, it was very cool to see that he helped with his hand on the album, and, you know, it's just like he did an amazing job being able to have all the instruments come to life.
Yeah, and that's one of Per's strengths. I mean, he's super knowledgeable about metal and metal production, but he's also musically and stylistically very, very wide. He listens to all kinds of genres, and he plays several genres as well. So he has a good ear for matching elements that you don't normally have at the same place at the same time.
And it's great to have those outside influences as well. I mean, when you have someone that doesn't traditionally play with more of the style that you guys do, being able to have that outside influence, it can help bring up that modern sound that you were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Where we get home blind, that's a saying in Swedish. It's good to have some fresh ears that can call us out on a bad idea or give us praise for a good idea as well. So his input was very valuable, of course.
And speaking of that, was there like any prominent ideas that he had that influenced the album?
I've had discussions with him and picking his brain even when we started the recording of the album. I mean, we recorded most of the album ourselves, except for the drums, and we also had help when recording the vocals. But other than that, we did everything ourselves. But I've been picking his brain and a few other guys as well along the way. So. He's been giving us pointers and do's and don'ts even before we all decided that he was gonna take the mixing duties as well.
Oh, very cool. So when, with you also being the main singer of the band, how hard is it for you to be able to switch instruments when you're playing live and being able to sing?
Well, I wish I could say it's harder than I think it is, but I'm used to it. I've been playing live in bands and both playing and singing backup for most of the last 20 years maybe, so it comes natural to me. However, being a lead vocalist is both new and scary as hell to do at the same time, but just managing it is not a problem, but focusing so much on the vocal performance, that can grow a few new gray hairs, to say the least. Given to that also, I mean, a lot of bands in metal or any genre that like uses growl or screaming, I wonder sometimes if they never found a match for a clean vocalist, or if they didn't want one. I mean, sometimes I felt that, am I the guy for the job? Could we find someone better to sing? I mean, if you see the competition that's out there in clean vocals, it's easy to be intimidated, but my friends in the band have encouraged me all along, and it turned out quite nice in the end, I think, even though I'm far from the greatest metal vocalist of all time.
Well, I can definitely say from a fan perspective, it's all about what matches the band the most, rather than being able to hit every octave high or low, or being able to go from cleans to black metal to grindcore vocals or anything like that. It's about finding the right voice for the band, and you definitely have the right voice for the band.
Wow, super nice to hear that. Thank you. One thing also is, I have a drone-like voice. I know that. It's been my style for all my singing days. But I think that's one key that actually fits the band and the drone instrument as well. It's supposed to be a bit repetitive and not have too much dynamics. I think that's an element of our music as a whole, as you say. Of course, it would also be nice to experiment with doing the opposite with the vocals and just letting the music do the drones. I don't know. We'll see in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing with the band really taking off now because of the new album, is that you will be able to have more experimentation to a wider audience now.
I agree. If we dare to do so. I mean, now we know that this works quite well, and we've gotten some really nice words from a lot of people. But I mean, of course, it's fun to push our limits, and we've, as I said previously, have ideas for some changes even before we put out the album. So. It's not going to be exactly the same, of course.
Oh yeah, I wasn't meaning like a complete genre change or anything, but you know, just like you were talking about with like the different vocal approaches or instrumentation sometimes in the right elements or something. You know, keeping that core sound of Apocalypse Orchestra, but being able to build on it a little more as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all people progress, and if you don't progress musically along with it, something's wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on with Apocalypse Orchestra. And of course, the brand new album, The End Is Nigh, is available now through Despotz Records. I'm absolutely in love with the album. I love the fact I was able to discover you guys this year, and now being able to help promote you in North America, hopefully getting more of an audience out this way too, to help around the world and make you guys even a bigger band than you guys are starting to become.
I really super appreciate it beyond what you can imagine. It's so humbling to get so good response, and it's nice to get it from the US as well. We never thought we would reach all the way over there as a debut band, but it's nice to see we're reaching some new areas, especially since I know the pagan metal scene is growing with new festivals each year in the US as well. So it would really be a dream come true to be able to go over there and do some festivals.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to be able to see you guys live at some point here.
That would be nice.